everyone, my name is Nicola and I am simply a stitcher. This is a channel primarily about cross stitch, and today I thought I'd do a little stitch with me. If you're new here, welcome, and thank you very much for joining me today. And if you haven't considered subscribing, then please consider doing so just by pressing the button in the description. So today I figured I'd do a little stitch with me on this lovely design, which is the Steampunk Seahorse by Light Unicorn Designs on Etsy. I'm currently working this on 14 count fabric, 2 strands of floss over 1, and this design has 24 colours, and it is an absolutely beautiful piece. Since finishing the bike, sorry about that, since finishing the bike that belongs to my brother, I've pulled this one back out and figured I would give it some work. Let me grab my phone, my other phone, because organised. Okay, so if you're new here, thank you very much. You're most welcome, and thank you for subscribing to me if you have done so. I know that I've had a huge increase in subscribers from Darren, who is the Dizzy Stitcher, who very kindly gave me a shout out on his channel last week. For those of you who don't know about me and about what I do, I usually do full coverage pieces, and I am also doing the Stitch Around Iceland challenge in Full Coverage Fanatics, and I'm a little bit behind on the yearly sort of target, as it were, but not dreadfully so, and if I don't reach it, I don't reach it. So this is one of my full coverage pieces. I'm about a third of the way through it, plus the start of this column, and I'm thoroughly enjoying it, I have to say. My brother's bike has gone off to its new home, and he's absolutely delighted with it. It's gone to pair with the Mercedes that I stitched for him last year. If you'd like to see that project, you can first of all check out my previous video, because I did post a finish. But also, if you're following me on Instagram, and my name on there is @simplyaStitcher, you can also see the progress on there. So it's Tuesday here. I'm going to get the date right today. It's the 11th of October. I have the house to myself, which is quite surprising because I never normally get the house to myself. I have, for those of you who don't know that are new here, I have 3 children who are all still at home, 2 of which are in school / college, and the third one who is seeking employment but currently doing some volunteer work. Andy, my husband, who, again, if you're new here, you will not know, he is a YouTuber himself, and he's called on here, he's called The Village Idiot. He has gone off filming today, and he is away overnight. So I find myself in one of those rare situations where it's me and the cat. So there you have it. And I do believe that she is fast asleep somewhere. So it's just me. So today I am working. I'm on my lunch break. I prefer to stitch, because I do a desk-based job. I prefer to stitch during my breaks because I can always eat at my desk. It's not a problem with working from home. So, but then later today, I'm doing a little bit of telephone work, so not be so easy, but you know, I'm not going to starve. Oh, no, that's in the wrong place. Doing well today. Unstitch a stitch. Now, I know that I've been saying that I'm going to do a tutorial for how I start and finish. I haven't got round to it yet. I've just been busy stitching more than anything. But I will do it. Probably in the upcoming week or so. Well, I hope so anyway. Do it as another floss tube extra. But with this piece, I'm working it parking. And the way that I work my parking is that I park my threads, and then when I come to work the square that's populated with my parking, I move the threads to the top and then work one by one from the bottom of the square up, working the threads in, and then fill in the gaps from the top down and park in the underneath square. With this being a 2-strand over 2, where I am using a loop start, and I also use a kind of a loop finish. That's one of the things that I obviously need to do a video to show people how I start and finish my threads. I don't suspect for one second that the way I do it is unique. It's just that it's difficult to see when you're doing a stitch with me like this, so it does warrant a little video of its own. Yeah. So it's currently October, and we've had some very unseasonably warm weather, although today I am wearing a jumper, so I'm feeling a little chilly today. But we've had a few days of really, really nice weather. Oh, I've done that one in the wrong place too. That's what happens when you concentrate on talking. Oh, dear. I'm not going to get any better, I don't think, either. It's not looking promising, guys. There we go, that's it. So this design I actually discovered by another floss tuber, and I saw it and I watched her do some stitch with me videos, and I just fell in love with it. Seahorses are my favourite sea animal by far. I don't know why, I just like them. I can remember going to a sea zoo and seeing some really, really tiny ones, and you're talking barely visible to the naked eye ones, you know, 3 or 4 millimeters in length, and just being absolutely fascinated. But I love seahorses. I just do. And I have this piece, and I also have I think it's called Watercolour Seahorse. It's a chart by Charting Creations. I think so. But at the minute, I am trying to resist making any new purchases. I've got several works in progress on the go, and it is my intention this week to add in an additional whip into my rotation, such as it is. When I say such as it is, I don't actually have a fixed rotation that on Mondays I do this piece, on Tuesdays I do that piece. I just stitch on a piece until I get fed up of it, basically. But I have been kind of reminded that I have the Tilton Crafts Realms of Middle-earth map as an ongoing work in progress. And I do want to pull that out this week and get some work done on it. I haven't touched it in probably about a year. And considering that this year I have had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 new starts. When I said I wasn't going to have any, I think I'd better pick it up and work on it. I really do. So I've got that one to pull out later this week. But you know, having said that, I'm just really, really enjoying stitching this bad boy. I love it. So this is going to be a wrench to put this down, I think. This piece has 36,000 stitches in it, and I am 12, 13, about just over 14,000 in. I'm about 35, 36%, perhaps more than that done. Get this in the right place. Don't want to be frogging because I don't like the frog. So I know that in the comments for my last video, which was my finish and my FFF, forgotten from floss tube, because there's nothing like being prepared, right? 1 or 2 people asked how things were going in life. Well, I'm very happy to say that things are going quite well. My stepfather, who was the person who has been in and out of hospital with some gallbladder issues and gallstone issues, I'm very happy to say he's on the mend. He came home beginning of last week, and he has recuperated at home with the support of my eldest daughter. He looks fantastic. He's got colour back, and although we know he has to go back to hospital at some point because he had a stent inserted and he needs to have his gallbladder removed, the difference from when he initially went into hospital to now is tremendous. And he's kind of got his zest for life back, which is brilliant. Girls are all fine. Youngest has settled into her new school. We moved her because of bullying. Middle daughter is doing well in college. And as I said, the eldest daughter, she's looking for a job, but she's doing some volunteering at a local dog kennel, and that keeps her occupied, and she quite enjoys it. It's time away, it's time for her. We've had a couple of moments, you know, boyfriend related dramas, but they're young and it's nothing that we can't handle. They will just have to learn that life is life, and Sometimes relationships come and go, sometimes they stay. And it's as simple as that. So I'm just here for them. I'm an ear when they're ready. I'm somebody that they can talk to. What else can I do? My stepchildren have also been here. Their mum is getting remarried in a couple of weeks. So they'll be coming to spend some additional time with us. And that's them. And I think that's about it. There's not really much else on the home front to report. I will show it in my next flush tube, but I've got a bit of stash on its way. And even though everything I've just said about, need to get some stuff done, I'm still buying a bit of stash. This one is, I've talked before that my job has like a point system. And you can earn points and you can sort of exchange those for things from a catalogue. It's like John Lewis's catalogue. For those of you that perhaps don't know, John Lewis is like a big department. This is a department store here in the UK. And lucky for me, they have a stitchy bit. So I ordered one of my other favourite animal. My favourite land animal. The seahorse is my favourite sea animal. But my favourite land animal is a red squirrel. And I saw the most beautiful cross stitch of a red squirrel on the rewards catalogue, and I'm like, yeah, I like that. I want it. So I'm getting it. And I've ordered some more needles because why not? Always useful. So I'm waiting for that to arrive. And I shall resist starting it because it is not a full coverage piece. And this year is dedicated to full coverage. I figured that next year I probably won't dedicate to full coverage. If there is a stitch around, I certainly won't do this sort of bonkers crazy route again. I'll do something like the medium one because I'd like to do a little bit of non-full coverage next year. I've got a few patterns that I want to do, and next year seems like an ideal time to look at / go through those and decide exactly what I want to do. And I definitely want to do the squirrel. I think I've got a few bits as well that I've bought recently. I've got a London kit, which is like a glow-in-the-dark thread on it. I want to do that. Just quick grab a me brew. Lovely cup of coffee. And, there's a few other bits that I've had with magazines or pictures and things that I've seen in magazines just lately that I do want to do. So that's my plan. So not as much full coverage next year, although full coverage is something that I do love. The major piece that I'm going to be doing next year, I will have a New Year, New Start. And the major full coverage piece that I want to do, I already have the pattern for it. It's already downloaded onto Pattern Keeper and everything. And that's the Leonid Afremov chart that I bought recently. It is, oh, flipping Nora, what the heck is it called? Have a quick look on Instagram, because I know I put it on Instagram. Where is it? Now Instagram decided it doesn't want to load today. The supersized Max Colour Night Cafe chart, and it is by Leonid Afremov, and it has come from Heaven and Earth Designs. So that will be my focus new start for next year. So that's that. Cannot wait to start it. It's 991 by 999, I think. So it's a fair old chunk of stitching. Oh, no, that's the wrong parking place. And I've also got another person who reached out to me and asked me if I wanted to do a review of the kit, so I'm considering that. Oh dear, excuse me, hiccups, beg your pardon. So I might even get some more stash from that. I don't know. It depends on whether or not I want to cooperate with this particular company and to have a look at what they're offering, and make a considered choice like I did with the last one. I have also got a queue, a backlog, because I've got City of Love to do as well, again, for my friend. I also have the 2 Lord of the Rings charts that I bought. I want to do them. You know, when I just look at my schedule for next year, I just think, oh dear, oh dear. I'm also, as I mentioned in my floss tube, trying to make a sideways move at work. I don't want to leave the company I work for, but I do want to change my job to do something that I can grow and develop a little bit more. I've had not an awful lot of success with my applications, but there's one that's on the table at the moment that I'm feeling fairly positive about. But I don't want to say too much because I don't want to jinx it, as I'm pretty sure you can imagine. But it might mean me working back in an office environment again instead of working from home. And of course, if I do that, then my stitching will definitely take a hit. Because at the moment, with working from home, I save 3 hours a day in travelling. Plus, I can spend my lunch times with my stitching in my hand. And although I could take my stitching to work with me, I can't obviously take a big project. I would only be able to take something that's relatively small and essentially innocuous, that I can sort of sit in a corner out the way with, you know, in the breakout area kind of thing. But yeah, we'll see. We'll see what happens. I'm probably rambling in this, not making a whole lot of sense. But, you know, it is what it is. I get squirrel brain, and I don't even realise it until after I've kind of gone from one thing, leapfrogged over to something else, and then gone to something else. But, you know, it is what it is. I'm pretty sure that you guys would know me by now. So, yeah. Oh, I've got to put a nice sea green in now. That'll make a nice change from dirty greys and browns. There's 4 stitches of it in this square, which will be nice. Makes a change. Look at that for a colour. I think that's the thing that I do like about this piece. It's the greens and the golds. And yes, I know I've just said about the dirty greys and things, but they do actually make it. They make the colours make this piece. I think it's beautifully designed. Where is that one? There we go. Yeah, anyway. Oh, I do have as well for next year. I work with a couple of really lovely ladies. And I'm not going to say too much about it in case they watch. But I do have something planned with them in mind as well. And anybody that's watching, if you know about ATC cards, I have a kind of a bit of an idea with them, and I shall reveal more about that in the new year when the first lot's done. Just sort of something for my good lady friends who we occasionally go out for afternoon tea with, and that we need to go out with again for afternoon tea because it's been too long again. It's good to have good friends, good work colleagues. The reason why I want to kind of move sideways in my job is nothing to do with my colleagues. It's simply because I think I need the growth as a person, and I don't want to become stale at work. You know, I want to be doing or learning something new. Okay. Single stitch here. I know that, you know, as I said, I can't sort of tell you about what I'm doing with the stitch. But you can see here what I've done is I've gone down in the bottom left corner of this completed stitch, come up in the top right corner of my new stitch, then gone down into the bottom left corner. Now, my plan is come up in the top right, and then underneath I'm using my thumb, and my thumb from the hand underneath has the thread in a loop around it. So when I put the needle down in this side, what I'm doing is I've hit my thumb pad, and I'm sliding it down my thumb pad and using my forefinger just to push the thread that's the loop over the needle. And when I pull it like that and just give it a little pull to take the end out, the vertical, as if you were looking at this underneath, you'd see a vertical line here. Both ends of the thread are caught underneath that vertical line. So then just bring it up over the front and snip it off. It's probably a little bit of a lazy way of doing it, but I don't want to constantly turn my frame upside down for the back of it, although I'm not ashamed of my backs. But I don't just want to constantly keep turning the back over. And I've never had a problem with loose stitches. If I do, I just look at how I'm actually making the stitch, and, you know, do I go top right to bottom left, or do I go bottom left to top right? You know, having a look at the stitch at the side will tell me if there's any kind of indication that there could potentially be any looseness about it, and then I can sort of stitch when I'm doing the down part on this side. I can kind of put it through the two threads and help to secure it like that. So I've got another ninja stitch here, and I'm doing it exactly the same way, but additionally this one will then give another straight line top to bottom on the back, which will then help to secure and strengthen where the threads lay for this stitch as well, because once again that loop, not only is it catching the new thread, it's also caught the threads again that have already been caught by the previous stitch, if that makes sense. I'm going to have to do this as a tutorial with a small piece of fabric and a needle so that I can do it and show both sides of the fabric easily, so you can see what happens on each side. Yeah, whilst it's okay saying about it, I'm one of those people, and I'm pretty sure that some of you guys out there will agree with me, you need to see it as well as hear about it. See it, hear it, see it, do it, or something like that, isn't it? Yeah. So this one, this next thread I'm connecting, is for a loop start. Is it that one? Nope. Doing well today, aren't I? Mind you, to be fair, I'm used to Pattern Keeper now, and I'm working this one from a paper chart, so I can't highlight the stitches that I want to do. I don't mind working from paper, don't get me wrong, but I think once you've had Pattern Keeper and you're used to Pattern Keeper, you don't want to do anything else. Speaking of Pattern Keeper, managed to help out a lady today with a query. Well, I say query. She brought up in her video that with Pattern Keeper, if you're stitching a white stitch and you mark it off, it just shows up white in Pattern Keeper. And although it's visible, it's difficult to see. This lady was doing a sampler. If you have that issue with Pattern Keeper and you're using something with a white stitch and you mark it off in the stitch, it's white, here's a little tip. Open your pattern in Pattern Keeper and then go to settings on the top left. In fact, oh, just knocked my fleming phone like a wally. Right, so here's my Pattern Keeper. So open your Pattern Keeper, tap settings, and can you? I think you can see it there. It says use a flat colour. The default is showing finished stitches in the thread colour. Select this to use a single colour of your choice. So basically, if you're stitching white stitches and you want Pattern Keeper to show them as black, for example, or red or blue or whatever, you can set Pattern Keeper to do that. And I think that's one of the sort of the hidden gems, if you like, about Pattern Keeper, is that it does have those options in the settings. If you look in the settings, there's loads of stuff like page breaks, you can show them or not, and diagonal and left to right diagonal, right to left diagonal, and colour lines and so on and so forth. Pattern Keeper's got quite a lot of functionality, and if you take a few minutes just to have a little look in it and find the custom setting that's right for you, which is, to be fair, all I do with mine is I just remove the page breaks, because I don't like to see the page breaks. It distracts me a little bit. So, especially as now I don't even stitch sort of, full pages. I just stitch like a column of X amount of stitches wide. Like this one, I'm stitching a column of 60 wide. There you go. Top tip of the day. Check your pattern keeper settings, people. There's also a pattern keeper YouTube channel. I don't know how aware people are of it, but it is there. And I've never actually watched it. I'll hold my hands up to that. But from what I understand, if something in Pattern Keeper is amended or a new functionality is, put in with the update or whatever, it's my understanding that there's usually some kind of video about it, or, so that you can upskill your knowledge or whatever of it. But yeah, I thought that was very useful today, that especially if you're doing something like a sampler, you can set it so that the completed stitches show in a contrasting colour to the one that's on the screen. And to be fair, it would work with all sort of pale colours quite well. And then listen at this hairdryer going past. Don't know if you can hear that one. If I may just, you can't see me rolling my eyes at the moment, but trust me, it's happening. With Pattern Keeper, it's very versatile, and this is not a paid promotion, promise. So there we go. I have nearly done this square. Woohoo! I'm currently stitching about 1100 stitches a day on average. The last one I did, it's especially good when I'm going through block colour because you can do it really quick. But the last piece that I did, and I did a lump more than that, was my brother's bike. And on the final day of that, I actually did 1900 stitches. To be fair, I wasn't working that day, so I could. And I just got on with it. And I was at the point, I wanted to finish, and I was fed up of seeing the flipping thing on my stand. And, he'd message me and said, "Is it done yet? Is it done yet?" And I'd tell him, well, I'm not going to repeat what I told him, but he's my brother, and he'll take it as a joke. And I think you can kind of get what I'm getting at. So yeah, I just couldn't wait to get it off my stand. So I actually pulled a superhuman effort and did 900 stitches that day. 1900 stitches that day. But usually my average is, the lowest I've done this month so far is 1,000 in a day. I worked it out at the start of the year. It was like 1,020 something to do the stitch around Iceland per day. But of course, I've had days where I've not stitched. I've had holiday. I've had sick day. I've had times where I've not been able to stitch for whatever reason, even though I've been at home. Work gets it in the way. Oh my goodness, does work get in the way? Wouldn't it be lovely to retire? Can't wait. But I just love it. I just love stitching. There's some truth in this. My soul is fed with a needle and thread saying, I tell you that. My husband would tell you that too. He tells me, you're not you unless you've got some stitching in your hands. No, this is true. And you'll not find me happier unless I've got stitching in my hands too. My sister's the same. She likes stitching. I've got a daughter who loves knitting. So creativity is a thing. Not necessarily just in this house either. It's other members of my family. I have an aunt who does a lot of sewing, and she makes the most wonderful bags. My mum used to do card making. my aunt, my mum, and my two aunts and my mum were all the sisters, all from the same side of the family. And my other aunt did cake making and icing. So we're a crafty lot. And their mum, my grandma, used to do a lot of baking, and she was a really good cook. So there we go. So this is the square done. And we are currently at 40 minutes in. So, for everybody out there, let me know. Is it long enough? Do you want a longer video? Have you got any questions? Is there anything you want to see? Any kind of tutorial, apart from obviously the one we've just talked about, starting and ending threads? Have you got a question? Have you got something you want to ask me? Do you want to know a little bit more about me? There's a comment section, you know, down there. Just write something. I'll have a look at that without an issue. If you have subscribed, thank you so much for doing so, and especially the new people who've come across. Thank you very much indeed for coming and joining me. I'm thrilled to have you all here. I love sharing this hobby. So yeah, I think that'll be it for today. Thank you again so much for watching, and you know, we'll see you in my next update at the beginning of November. However, there might be some content on the in-between. You just have to keep an eye out, I suppose. So when you subscribe, if you press the notification bell, YouTube will let you know, won't they? Thank you very much, everybody, and you take care and stay safe, and we will see you soon. Bye for now.